Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the Samsung Galaxy A3 2016. And I'm gonna spoil the verdict right up front. This is the best phone you can get in this price range, especially if you're looking for something below 5 inches, because this is a region of devices where it's quite hard to find something on a really high-end level. Maybe the biggest competitor would be the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact. Why I think this one is superior in overall and why it's the better phone, I will try to tell you in the next few minutes. So let's just start off with the design and build quality. Let's compare with the 5.2-inch A5 2016. As you can see, it's noticeably narrower, of course also shorter. In terms of thickness though, pretty much the same. I already reviewed the A5, so if you want to see that, check that. Other than that, as for the A5, what I absolutely love, how compact it is. The bezels are really minimal. And I will show you this right up front. So really nicely done, very compact. One-hand use was absolutely no problem. There was a small little issue, but I will go into that later in the display part. Other than that, we have glass on glass. You either like that or you hate it. I think it's personally very grippy, but this is something that you have to decide. The one thing that I absolutely love though is we have curved glass on the front and also on the back, so both sides are curved, which makes the device feels very smooth, organic and round in the hand like a pebble, with this really nicely polished glass that feels just super premium. The device doesn't squeak or bend at all. It is built absolutely on a high-end premium level. For a price of around $250, I did not expect something as good as this. Here we have the flash, the camera. On the top we have a microphone. On the left side we have the volume rocker with a really nice clicky and tactile feedback, so all good here. Headphone jack, micro USB, one speaker and microphone. On the right side we have the SIM card and SD card tray with the power button in a really great position that I like a lot. The home button itself sounds really nice, does a good job. It has no fingerprint reader though, unlike the A5, therefore it's almost flush and feels a little bit better. And of course on the sides we have the two capacitive buttons with unfortunately no notification LED. So my verdict here for the design build quality couldn't have been done any better. I absolutely love it. Now let's get into and check the display. 4.7 inches, 720p, and yes, these days that's maybe already a little bit outdated. I still think it's sharp enough if you mostly use it in apps. If you maybe use in a browser a desktop view completely zoomed out, you will notice that there it isn't just as sharp, but other than that it's absolutely fine. White levels in my opinion are absolutely great, exactly where I want them to be. The only thing there which you will see is that you have a little bit of a color shift on the whites, usually through the not perfect viewing angles, but this is something you don't usually ever see, so all fine here. Black's pretty much perfect. Contrast is absolutely great, and the colors are very vibrant and vivid, but not completely oversaturated. Still, they are, but not on a level where I would complain. It's definitely nice to see. What I noticed though in videos, everything seems a little bit too dark and a few details get lost. This is the same as I saw also on the A5, but still a great job. In terms of maximum brightness, absolutely fantastic. And it's one of the brightest devices out there. Sunlight readability was absolutely no problem. So pretty much the best smaller display I've seen in a long time. So let's check the sound here. Let's start off with the speaker placement. Yes, on the bottom is not the best one, but I actually think it's the second best one after front facing, because if I hold it like this, I never really blocked it. I did reflect it, and during gaming actually it was also fine. If you block it though, you won't really hear much, but this was no issue for me. In terms of maximum volume, I was very pleased because it was louder than the A5 and actually has a very rich sound. So overall they did a really good job with the speakers. No complaints here at all. I really like it, no problems. Of course on the front would have been better, but this is the second best job as I already said. In terms of headphone jack output quality, absolutely great, very loud, very nice, clear sound, absolutely fine. So let's check the performance here. First of all, the browsing performance, and I think I have to say one thing right up front. This device performs a lot better than the A5. It's overall a lot lighter and way more consistent. As you can see, the scrolling is super smooth. And yes, it maybe doesn't perform quite as good as the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact, which has a Snapdragon 810, but I have no complaints at all. It is super smooth, it is snappy, all the apps run really well, as you can see here. So absolutely no problem. Of course, there is still a little bit of a gap to all the flagships out there on the market, but I did not expect it to run that well, because the A5 was a slight disappointment here because it just wasn't as smooth. But this here, as you can see, works absolutely nice, and even something like Google Plus works out really well. So I like it a lot more than I did the A5. And this, in terms of performance, would have been already more than fine for me. In overall, I like it a lot. We only have 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, which though is absolutely fine, I think. For example, I did not expect it to be that little of an issue, because usually with TouchWiz I expected definitely worse, but it actually wasn't. So I'm fine with that. I really, in normal use, barely ever noticed any reloadings, and the reloading times or the app loading times itself were actually quite nice as well. And the same goes for the gaming performance, because the device performs even really good in performance, and maybe that's a smart choice from Samsung's side in terms of SoC and resolution, because the SoC can handle 720p absolutely fine, which the slightly bigger rather with the 1080p 5.2 inch screen didn't just deliver, because as you can see here, gaming performance is absolutely nice. I did not notice any sort of throttling. The device barely ever got warm. It performed all the time very nice and smooth. So overall, it gets absolutely my total okay in terms of performance. Absolutely great job here. As for the battery life, a full charge needs 1 hour and 50. Why does it take longer as the A5? Because it doesn't support quick charge, which is not a real issue for me. Now let's check the battery life, and I couldn't really use GSAM because it did falsify the values. This one is still correct though. 7.5 hours of video streaming in one session though. This was absolutely great. The other results though, on Wi-Fi I got 6.5 hours over the course of 1 day and 4 hours. And in mixed use, usually I got 5 hours and 12, which was actually one of the lowest scores, because once the battery settled a little bit more, I got into 6 hours over the course of 18 hours. And once again, 4 hours over the course of, and it doesn't show that, but that was just a half charge. I'm not quite sure if it will show that, but for some reason my screenshots seem wrong. Wait, let me check. 5 hours and 12, 6 hours, and I got, yeah. So I'm missing one screenshot, but I could say solid 5 hours in mixed use. On mobile data only, I noticed there is a bigger drain in standby but also in use, so there I would expect still 4.5 to maybe 5 hours. But if you have something of a more mixed use, I actually easily got 6 hours or very close to that with a brightness of 55%. So battery life is more than satisfying, actually really good and one of the best ones, so absolutely great. Now let's talk about the software. We don't have the fingerprint reader, so that one is missing, and a few other things maybe are missing as well in comparison to the A5. There are just some minor things. We don't have dual window and all that, but otherwise we have the theming engine, which makes the device feel and look a lot nicer than it does out of the box. I really like this design, so I'm not really quite sure what else to tell you, because yes, there are a few bloat apps, I could get rid of them, but other than that, I really like it. The launcher does a good job, you can rearrange it and all that, so I don't really have to talk too much about the software. I like it so far. Android 5.1.1, totally fine job. If this device gets Marshmallow, it should get even better, but so far as it is, I would have been already totally fine. Now let's get to the camera qualities. Selfies look absolutely stunning. They are very sharp, very detailed, and everything has been done just right. And today I just did a side-by-side comparison with the S7, and for some reason the A3 seemed a lot sharper, something that is just slightly disappointing compared to my S7. Other than that, low light shots are quite okay, not super sharp, but still totally fine, no complaints here at all. I've seen better ones, but for a device that has no optical image stabilization compared to the A5, it still holds up very well. Therefore though, the outline or the outdoor pictures seem very nice, even with a little bit of lower light, very sharp, very detailed. Autofocus still is not the very fastest one, but does an absolutely solid job. Exposure, color balance, and especially the natural tones of the colors make a great job. I can't really say anything worse about the camera. in this price range it will be hard to find anything close to this one. Overall, an absolutely great job. And the camera qualities, yes, we are limited to full HD 30 frames, but this is on a really high level because very smooth, very nice exposure transition, also still nice colors. The autofocus only works while you are standing or standing still with the camera, which is totally normal, and it's a nice gradual slow focus, but therefore quite a nice effect, and it does a very consistently solid job. So the video camera qualities as well, really good. So now let's get to the deal breakers and deal makers. Design and build quality, absolutely one of the highlight main deal makers. Super premium feel, super small, compact, and just super substantial. Absolutely love it. The display, maybe not quite a deal maker, but far from being a deal breaker, because the 720p is still one of the best 720p below 5-inch displays I've seen on the market, so all good here. And even the speaker is by far no deal breaker. Also maybe not the one deal maker, but a more than solid job, very loud with quite a rich sound, does a great job. Performance, I would say almost in this price and size range is a deal maker because it performed very consistent, very smooth. 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, didn't seem to be any bottleneck. Performance overall great, even for gaming absolutely suited, so way better than actually the A5, which is a little bit odd. So about the battery life also, that's one of the deal makers though, because 6 hours, maybe even more, because I use the brightness of 55%, does a great job, one of the best battery lives I've seen. On mobile data the drain is noticeably higher for some reason, not quite so sure about that, but still totally fine. Software, I don't know what the problem is for a lot of people with TouchWiz. I like it a lot, it does the job great. Yes, there is a little bit of bloat which you can get rid of, but other than that it does perform well. And the camera for this price range is absolutely stunning. Very sharp selfies and outdoor shots with the main camera, also absolutely great, with very good video camera qualities as well. So now let's get to the verdict. Why do I think it's the best budget compact phone? Let's compare it, for example, with the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact. Build is better, even though it's more than 100 euros less, because even on sale you can't get the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact below 350. This one right now costs 250, and the build is better. It feels so much nicer and more rounded, compact. The display is better. The sound maybe not so much, because the Z5 still has front-facing stereo speakers, but for what it is, it sounds still great. Performance is not quite on the level of the Sony, but for this much less money, I'm totally fine with that, because overall it's still very consistent, very fluid, very smooth, all good here. Battery life, a lot better than on the Sony. Software, personal choice, I could live with both of them, no problems here at all. I really like what Sony or Samsung did this year, so no problems here at all. And the camera is definitely not even worse, because yes, the Sony has a flagship level camera, but this one is so close to a flagship level camera in all the aspects. And for some reason today, even with my side-by-side comparison with the S7, it did actually win for some reason, so I'm not quite sure what's up with my S7. And this pretty much sums it up. This device, let me think. No, I can't find any flaw. Every category performs on a very high, if not best level. And that's why for $250 or euros, if you are looking for a compact sub 5-inch phone, I can't think of anything better. I compared it already with the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact, and the other maybe closest one would be in this price range, the OnePlus X, which I think overall just can't compete in terms of overall quality. Of course, it's a little bit smaller, but you can get past that. So I think I've covered it. I'm really impressed with this phone. And if the A5 actually would have been a little bit closer in the overall qualities, like the performance and also a few other things, it would have been an even better choice. But the A3 as it stands on its own is an absolutely magnificent phone. Personally a little bit too small for me, but other than that, absolutely close to perfect. That's all I gotta say. Okay, this was my review of the Samsung Galaxy A3 2016. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, then don't. If you want to see more reviews like this, please subscribe to the channel and reshare this video if you want to. Other than that, I wish you a very nice day. Okay, until next time, bye.